Hey, what is up, mortals? Welcome to What If All Might Was Never Engineered. Just wanted to greet you guys by just saying sit back and relax, you're in for a treat, and so we begin. The beeps and hums of medical equipment caused All Might to stir from unconsciousness. An intense soreness and exhaustion lingered in his body. He tried to remember how he got to the hospital. He was fighting his mentor's killer, All For One, and he'd won, right? He remembered defeating All For One, so why did it feel like he lost? All Might slowly sat up and removed the equipment from his body. This is the first time he noticed the bandages wrapped around this torso as a searing pain came from his left side. As he started to stand up, Sir Night-Eye entered the room and saw the wounded hero. Night-Eye looked visibly worried for his friend, getting All Might's side in an instant. "What do you think you're doing?" "I shouldn't be here, Night-Eye. Everyone's looking for me." All Might moved past Night-Eye and started to leave the room, heavily leaning on the wall and somewhat limping. "Even though your injuries aren't as serious as they could be, everyone will suffer if you continue to go on like this. Find someone like yourself, cheerful, strong, and approachable, and entrust your quirk to them. And who will be the symbol until I find someone like that?" As All Might stumbled from the room, his feet slipped out from under him as he attempted to wander down the hospital corridor. Night-Eye stopped the injured pro by grabbing him from behind. "But you can't smile at all, can you?" letting his sidekick hold him. All Might looked over his shoulder at Night-Eye and noticed his eyes change. "I can't support you if you keep being a hero. Didn't I ask you before not to use your foresight on me? If you keep going like this, my foresight will come true." All Might removed Night-Eye from his back. The injured symbol of peace stood up and began to take more faltering steps down the hall. "All Might, please. If you keep going like this, you'll face off against a villain and die a gruesome death." All Might kept walking, trying to ignore his sidekick's tearful pleas. "I can help you out over here, sir." "Oh, thank you." Toshinori snapped out of the memory as he sheepishly approached the register. It had been 5 years since Toshinori cut contact with his former sidekick. During that time, he discovered that he can transform into a less muscular form. It showed his age a bit more, but the small Might form was easier on his battle scars and made it more convenient to do everyday tasks like shopping or eating out. Currently, he looked less like a pro hero and more like a very athletic granddad. After paying for his sodas, Toshinori left the store and checked his watch. "I'm making good time," he thought. "I might even be early for my meeting with Nezu." Fearful screams rang out. Toshinori turned to the noise. A sludge-like being was running from a shop, paper cash stuck in its gelatinous form. Toshinori glanced at his watch again. "Yeah, I've got time." With everyone's eyes focused on the viscid villain, Toshinori grew taller and more Herculean as he became the familiar persona of All Might. "He will be stopped." The strong voice gained the attention of the citizens around him. "Why? Because I am here." The people cheered as All Might chased after the mucus miscreant. He followed the booger bandit through the streets and down alleyways before All Might saw him slip into a storm drain. All Might found a nearby manhole and went into the sewer system to continue the chase. Although he got turned around in the dark, All Might found the manhole the viscid villain used to return to the surface. All Might punched the manhole cover away and emerged from the sewers. He saw the slimy scoundrel had taken a young boy hostage. "Have no fear. You are safe, now that I am here, that is." The fluid felon attacked the pro hero, which All Might evaded. All Might stood his ground and wound back his fist. Texas smash. The massive wind force tore the mucky malefactor apart, freeing the young boy. After All Might quickly collected the chunks of the syrupy scoundrel, he checked on the young boy's condition. It doesn't look like he was injured, merely knocked unconscious. All Might picked up the green-haired boy as well as the notebook that was open on the ground. While he waited for the young man to wake up, All Might flipped through the notebook. He found the young man's hero studying incredibly well-detailed and rather fanboy-esque. When All Might flipped to an empty set of pages, he autographed the notebook and placed it next to the unconscious boy. He then started to repeatedly pat the young man's face. "Hey, hey, hey." The green-haired boy started to wake up. "Oh, good. Thought we lost you there." The young man instantly freaked out at the sight of the #1 hero. "Sorry about getting you involved in my work. I don't usually make those kinds of mistakes, but you were a big help. Thanks to you, I've captured him safely." The pro hero presented the 2 large soda bottles that held the oily outlaw prisoner. The green-haired boy had been reeling at the surreal moment as All Might pocketed his captive. "Oh, right. An autograph." The young man picked up his notebook and freaked out again at the sight of the #1 hero's signature already on the pages. He thanked All Might repeatedly. "Now, I must be off." The pro hero stretched his legs as he prepared to leave. "Already, pros are constantly fighting crime and time." All Might checked his watch. "And I'm starting to run late." All Might jumped high above the buildings, causing the wind to go wild. The pro hero heard a voice mixed in with the whipping wind. He saw the green-haired boy holding onto his leg. "What do you think you're doing, kid?" "I'm sorry, but there's something I wanted to ask you directly." Okay. Just close your eyes and mouth. I'll look for a place to land." The young man does as he's told as All Might looks for a safe rooftop. After landing, the green-haired boy does his best to collect himself. What you did was extremely reckless. I know. I'm sorry, but I have something really important I want to ask you, All Might. The pro hero noticed the boy become rather serious yet nervous. Would it be possible for me to become a hero, even if I don't have a quirk? The boy looked scared to hear the response. For a moment, All Might didn't see the meek green-haired boy. He saw himself, just younger. All Might thought for a long moment. What's your name, young man? Izuku Midoriya. Young Midoriya, becoming a pro hero without a quirk. I don't think it's impossible. All Might knelt in front of Midoriya. But I wouldn't be doing my job as a hero if I told you to go for it without knowing the risks. You'd be putting yourself in great danger for those you'd be trying to save. Not to mention, you'd have to train harder and work smarter than those with quirks. You seem like a very bright kid, but I don't think someone of your current standing could be a hero. All Might started to walk towards the edge of the roof. Knock on the door and wait for someone to let you down. All Might jumped away, leaving the shell-shocked teen on the roof. It hurt the pro hero to say what he did, but it was either that or sending the young man down a painful road. He checked his watch mid-flight and became very nervous. He was very late for his meeting with Nezu. Not a problem. I'll just give him a call after I drop off the villa. All Might's pockets were empty. Welp, that's a problem. All Might started to retrace his steps. The bottled villain couldn't have gotten far, right? All Might had been searching for 30 minutes with no sign of the slime villain, which worried the pro hero. He leapt on top of a building to survey the area. Billows of smoke several streets down caught All Might's attention. He made his way toward the fire. The single street was surrounded by flaming buildings. Most of the pro heroes that were on the scene focused on getting the civilians out and taming the fires. The others were just staring at the viscid villain and his new hostage, a blonde young man with an explosive quirk. In the minute that All Might took to analyze the situation, he saw young Midoriya rush out of the crowd and towards the danger. The green-haired boy threw his backpack at the villain's eye before trying to free his friend. All Might jumped in before the sludge villain could hurt either of the young men. The pro hero grabbed the two boys with one hand before winding back the other. Detroit Smash. A heavy cyclone rushed through the street and flew skyward. The clouds turned dark and it started to rain. The excitement died down and the crowd began to cheer. The police collected the pieces of the sludge villain. Midoriya and his friend, Bakugo, were taken aside by a couple of the pro heroes for a quick talk. All Might wanted to have a word with Midoriya, too, but he was hounded by various reporters after the action died down. The sun started to set before All Might could get away from the reporters. He wanted to get away sooner, but such is the life of the #1 hero. He ducked down some back roads and alleyways, getting out of the media's line of sight. All Might overheard some yelling. He looked around the corner to see the angry Bakugo shouting at Midoriya. After the explosive boy left, All Might revealed himself to Midoriya with great showmanship. We meet again, young Midoriya. All Might, what are you doing here? I wanted to apologize for what I said before. I suppose when you've been on top as long as I have, the true meaning of being a hero slips your mind. While the other heroes stood on the sidelines, you were the only one to jump into action to save your friend. With the proper training and guidance, you could go far. What do you mean? Young man, you can become a hero. The pro hero saw Midoriya fall to his knees, clutching his chest and bawling his eyes out. All Might let the boy get the overwhelming emotions out before helping him to his feet. He gave Midoriya an address to go to that weekend so the pro hero could start training him for the UA entrance exam. As the boy left, All Might then remembered his meeting with Nezu. He was not looking forward to that conversation. After having a chat with Nezu, All Might had Midoriya start his training by cleaning the trash from Takoba Beach. Having the young man move the different-sized pieces of junk was a good way to work out different muscle. All Might also set up an exercise regimen for Midoriya to do when All Might was too busy with hero work. Memories of Nana and his own training came to All Might's mind as he helped Midoriya get stronger. He even considered passing on one for all to the green-haired boy once his training was done. I'm not done yet. Toshinori spoke to himself in the security of his home. I've still got a few years left in me. He looked at his exposed torso in the mirror, eyes focused on his scar. An image of a fearful Sir Night-Eye flashed in his mind. A few more years. After nearly 10 months of training, Midoriya became much stronger, which made All Might proud. All Might told Midoriya to take it easy the day before the exam and he'll be there to watch the practical portion of the exam. Midoriya thanked the pro hero for the training and went home. All Might arrived at the UA campus later than he wanted to. He just happened to take the route that was in the way of an old lady crossing the street, a bank robbery, and a cat stuck in a tree. He tried to get to the observation area undetected. What held you up this time, All Might, villains or fans? Eraserhead was the last person All Might wanted to run into. It was a cat in a tree actually. All Might showed a picture of the ash-gray cat to his coworker. The insomniac teacher just looked at the photo for a long moment. Just get in here. Eraserhead entered the room, expecting All Might to follow. The symbol of peace sighed in relief as he entered the observation room. The entire UA staff was present, watching the potential students fight against the villain robots. All Might saw some very interesting quirks. There were those with amplified speed or strength, some that could manipulate objects around them, and some were clearly mutation types. A young man with a bright green mohawk and blades covering his body stood out to the pro hero. No matter what their quirks were, each candidate was fighting their hardest to get into UA. The 0-point robots came out. It seemed like a majority of the exam takers ran from the danger. Some stayed in the danger zone to get more points. All Might saw a young woman get trapped under rubble with a 0-pointer looming over her. Why isn't anyone helping her? All Might felt a nervous bead of sweat roll down his face. They're striving to be heroes, right? A mop of dark green hair rushed to the young woman's side, quickly removing the concrete slabs from on top of her. Midoriya took the girl in his arms and ran from the 0-pointer. It looked like he was talking to her, asking if she was okay. Present Might called the end of the practical portion shortly afterwards. All Might spent the next few days helping with the acceptance letters. Being on camera for several hours wasn't something new to the pro hero, but that didn't make the task any less tiring. All the homerooms except for Eraserhead students attended orientation, and the first day of classes came and went without an issue. It was the second day that got All Might nervous and excited. It would be his first time teaching, and he wanted to make a good impression. He was able to train Midoriya just fine, and the young man was able to get into general studies. That thought bolstered All Might's resolve as he thrust open the 1A classroom doors. "I am here," coming through the door like a hero. Some of the students were in awe as the symbol of peace strode into the room in his Silver Age costume. All Might recognized some of the students from the entrance exam. There was Ochako Uraraka, the girl Midoriya saved, and Ingenium's little brother, Tenya. Young Bakugo was also present, glaring at the student who sat behind him, a young man with a bright green mohawk and bug-like pincers on his face, Tagaru Kamakiri. After handing out his students' hero costumes, they moved to one of the mock cities. He began to explain the goal of the training: heroes versus villains. The villain team had to protect their weapon while the hero team tried to either capture the villains or retrieve the weapon. After the teams were formed, All Might pulled the first match from 2 boxes marked heroes and villains. Team A will be the heroes and Team D will be the villains. Everyone else will go to the observation room. Uraraka and Kamakiri were Team A and Bakugo were Team D. After the 2 teams got set up, the timer started and the exercise began. Bakugo left Ada in charge of protecting the weapon. Kamakiri and Uraraka snuck into the building from a second-floor window. The hero team snuck around for a few minutes before running into Bakugo. Tension began to rise as Kamakiri and Bakugo glared at each other. "Uraraka, go find the weapon. I'll take care of this guy." "You think you can take me, roach face?" 2 blades came out of Kamakiri's forearms. "Easily, firecracker. Be careful, Kamakiri." Uraraka ran off while the 2 hotheads fought. Blasts and blades clashed, doing great damage to the building. Several lacerations covered Bakugo's body while soot and burns peppered Kamakiri. The 2 boys were starting to get more aggressive with each other. Bakugo held up his gauntlet and was about to pull the pin. "Bakugo, stop this right now. You'll kill him. He'll be all right as long as he dodges." "Young man, if you pull that pin, I'll end the training right now and your team will lose." The threat of failure seemed to get through to the temperamental blonde. Bakugo growled to himself before charging at Kamakiri again. The fight between Uraraka and Ida looked like a pleasant conversation compared to the fight between the 2 boys. The time ran out and the villain team won. After getting a lecture about their excessive aggression, Kamakiri and Bakugo were sent to Recovery Girl to get patched up. Thankfully, the rest of the matches weren't as barbaric. A few days later, there was a break-in in broad daylight. On the surface, it seemed like it was just the media trying to get an interview with All Might even though he wasn't on campus that day. But given the decayed state of the UA barrier, there was something more to it than some journalists wanting the next big scoop. Time passed and All Might did his best to help his students improve that quirk handling. He also simply took the time to get to know them on a personal level. After all, he was going to be their teacher for the next 3 years. He might as well take the time to get to know them. He enjoyed seeing their eyes light up as they talked about their hobbies and interests. All Might, Eraserhead, and the 1A students were loaded up into a bus and sent to the unforeseen simulation joint with the Space Hero 13. The training that the students would get here would be valuable to them down the line. Before the training could begin, a purple-black mist began to swirl and form in the central area of the USJ. Hordes of people emerged from the mist, along with a man with several hands attached to him and a beastly bird man. "Stay back. Those are real villains." Eraserhead put on his goggles and readied his capture tool. 13. Get the students out of here. We'll cover you." All Might ripped off his tie and got into a fighting stance. "Everyone, back to the bus and stick together." All the students followed 13 without hesitation. Both pro heroes jumped into the fray, taking down half a dozen goons in an instant. Eraserhead kept his attention on those with emitter and transformation-based quirks while All Might handled the more mutation-based criminals. The unlikely duo easily took down the mob, only just barely breaking a sweat. All Might and Eraserhead focused their attention to the Hand-Man. "What are you planning to do here, villain? My name is Shigaraki and I'm here to watch you die." "All Might, my Namu here was designed to kill you and that's exactly what it'll do." The beastly Namu dashed at All Might and attacked. All Might was forced back several yards from the sheer power behind the punch. The number one hero and the animalistic Namu continued their brutal power struggle while Eraserhead fought against Shigaraki. Each punch All Might drove into the Namu's body seemed to have minimal effect, while each of the monster's attacks hit harder than a runaway train. "This is going nowhere fast. This thing must have some kind of absorption quirk plus super strength." The Numo grappled All Might, its massive hands digging deep into the pro-hero's side scar and breaking bones in the process. All Might screamed in agony. From the corner of his eye, All Might could see Eraserhead. His ally's left arm looked half-decayed while a deep cut bled under his right eye. Shigaraki also looked beaten up, but the hand villain still stood confidently as the dark and wispy villain appeared at his side. Gunshots rang out, landing hits on Shigaraki's limbs and the Namu's head. All Might broke free from the Namu's grasp and looked in the direction of the gunshots. All of the UA teachers had arrived to help out, thanks to the efforts of Class Rep. But the Namu stunned from Snipe's headshot. All Might unleashed an unrelenting barrage of attacks on the monstrous abomination. The Namu gave as good as it got, responding to each of All Might's attacks with its own mighty punches. All Might didn't let up for a second. He kept pushing through. A swift uppercut connected to the Namu's jaw and sent it into the air. All Might leapt after it before slamming the creature back into the ground. The monster bounced off the concrete. "Let me give you a lesson." All Might landed in front of the Namu. "You've probably heard these words before, but let me show you what they really mean." All Might raised his hand to the sky and clenched his fist. He brought his fist back for a 100% punch. "Go beyond, plus ultra." The attack connected with the Namu's chest. It launched the creature rocketing into the air, crashing through the USJ's domed ceiling and high into the atmosphere. Now that he had a moment to breathe, All Might noticed the blood leaking from his mouth and the blood soaking into his clothes from where the Namu grabbed him. After the battle was done and Shigaraki's evasion of arrest, all the students were gathered up and, since none of them were injured, were sent home. All Might went to Recovery Girl since he trusted her with his small might secret. "How bad is it, Chio?" "Well, whatever that Namu did to you, it seems to have exasperated your old injury. It's possible that this could affect the use of your quirk." Toshinori was about to ask how badly the effects could be when he started to have a coughing fit. He could taste metal. When he wiped his mouth, there was a smear of blood on his hand. "Why don't you take it easy for a little while, Toshinori? At least for a couple days." "Yeah, I might just do that." Thank you all for indulging yourselves in the story thus far. Hope you enjoyed it. Now there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes deep into the facts and lore of a wide variety of anime. It's sure to expand your weeb knowledge for all kinds of series guaranteed. On top of that, we have a third channel called We The Celestials Naruto What Ifs. It's what we do on this channel already, but in the vast world and lore of Naruto. Go check it out if you're in the mood for some jutsu action. I'd like to let you all know on behalf of We The Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. If you're perhaps interested in what we do here at WTC, then I would like to extend out an invitation to join the team. The only caveat being we only accept members 16 and older to join our crew. You can find us on our Discord, which you can locate in the description below. Our Discord is an all-around fantastic place to be, whether you're a fan or looking to join our band of misfits. All you gotta do is hit up the recruitment server and sign up for whichever category of work that fulfills your interest. We're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video. So thank you all for watching and have a great day.